Dresden's question, are there physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual repercussions in the craft?
Yes.
And George, hi George, his question is, what does harm none truly mean? So let's incorporate
The
those two together.
whole idea of harm none is not so much about, oh, we have to be goody, goody, goody all the time. It's self-protection and self-preservation. Harm none. Why harm none? Because we're all just light, delicious, lovely people 24/7? No.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I don't know anybody who's like that 24/7 who's not heavily medicated in one way or another.
Oh, they're not happy.
Well, and even then, probably
They're not
repressing
happy.
the majority of their organic feelings. I think it's built into law that the reason you harm none is because it will come back. It does come back, and we're all one. So are there repercussions in the craft? Absolutely. But you have to have the balls to face the repercussions, the consequences of your actions and your choices. That's how we learn. A child, you can tell a child, do not touch the stove 1,000,000 times. You know they're going to touch the stove. It's not the lesson of what you said to them that teaches them. It's the experience. Ow. That hurt. That's how we learn. We don't only learn through pain, but think about your own life. Think about your own life.
Think about relationships, folks. Yeah.
What are the lessons that you say, I am positive, to the best of my ability, I will never make that mistake again? Oh, I learned that lesson. Those are the painful ones. And it's true. We can learn through joy, but usually only after we have learned through a lot of pain. And the pain is delivered through a repercussion. I think harm none is important as an ethic, but not for the reasons people usually think. The truth is that there is a lot of power in the craft, but that power is accumulated over time, and it's connected to wisdom. Wisdom is power. People say knowledge is power. I don't know how powerful that is. I watch a lot of Food Network. I know a lot about cooking now, but I don't cook. You know, how much power is that?
You're wise enough to go out to eat.
Thank God I have people who do cook around me who love cooking, you know. But why do they love cooking? Because they have a positive experience of it. So they have cooking wisdom.
Right.
I think in the craft it's that way. That of course you're going to make mistakes. Here, perfect example, in my teenage. Remember, I started young. That's why I'm 40 now. People look at me as an elder now. Great, now finally I have the age to back up the title. So I am an elder in my covenant center and in my community. When I was a teenager, I used to toy with love magic. I call it toy now. At the time, I wasn't toying. At the time, I was addictive about it. That there was a lack I felt within my life. That's being way more psychological about it in retrospect than I was at the time. I just wanted what I wanted, and I would do whatever it took, regardless of consequence, not really knowing what the consequences were. And believe me, the gods were merciful, because they knew where I was in my path of development.
And where you needed to go and what you needed to become.
Essentially, it was human flypaper, the spells that I was doing, and I got what I wanted. But the pain that came along with it, not worth it. That's why I don't do those spells anymore. I've evolved past them. There were physical repercussions. Absolutely, there were physical repercussions. There were losses of friendships. There was a sense of real depression when the sugar high burned off from the encounter, because it wasn't love. It wasn't really about love. It was about control, and love is not control. So the whole motivation behind it, I knew what I wanted, but I didn't really know why I wanted it. So of course there were emotional repercussions. There were mental repercussions where I would seem to lose my mind once the high of the fix wore off, and had to do another spell, and had to do it better and stronger. And you know, just like an addiction, it's like it has to get bigger. It has to be more. It has to be higher voltage. And were there spiritual repercussions? Hello, little bird. What kind of bird is that?
Hi, it's a sparrow. It's a female.
Oh, it's so cute. She's just looking at me when I look over to make a point. I got a bird staring at me. Were there spiritual repercussions? Absolutely there were spiritual repercussions, but as harmful as the acts may have been, the spiritual repercussions were lessons that I learned, that I grew, that I healed, but only because the pain and the suffering was so intense. So I think you have to be careful in the craft, but also you have to be where you are. And if you're really addictive in the pursuit of something, it doesn't matter whether you do it through witchcraft or through Craigslist. You have to be careful. What you put out returns to you. So harm none be the whole of the law, but not for the reasons that people think.
Though it's helpful to bear that in mind.
I think that because we're all going to be nice, sweet, lovely people 24/7. Good luck. That's authentic. We're not good, sweet, loving, wonderful people all the time. Our spirits are that way for sure. But how many people live directed by their spirit 24/7, 365? Rare. Okay, the Dalai Lama.
And he's working on it.
And
I'm
he is.
sure.
Well, he has a 9-hour-a-day spiritual practice. That would pretty much keep me. That would keep me on the path pretty clear. Well, not to mention he's a leader of people globally now, not just to the Tibetan Buddhists, but he's an example to the world. He's a true teacher by example. And, he understands karma way deeper
Better
than
than we
I
do.
do. So, I'm not putting myself on his level necessarily. But I do think that the witch needs to understand the repercussions in terms of the framework of harm none, because then you are really looking at self-preservation. That's why, we really throw into spells for the highest good and harming none, as I will it, so let it be done. But mind you can't say, may he burn in hell and feel the pain he's brought upon me for the highest good and harming none. It doesn't work like that. That cancels itself out. That's like,
Not to mention the repercussions.
really, really harsh. But I also want to throw in there that the repercussions are not punishments. Karma is not about punishment. It's about showing you something. It's about showing this is what you released. Here it is as a return. Learn, grow. We're not aware all the time of what we are releasing. Just mentally, the thoughts that we think. Emotionally, the feelings we feel. Here you've got the thoughts you think, the emotions you feel. What comes out your mouth? What are the choices that you make? What are the judgments that you make? Are they merciful judgments? What are the confessions that you make, and is it gossip? I was just talking about gossip last night. Here's something that witches do chronically. They gossip. Now, there's actually a rather positive side of gossip that I've been finding, because it's faster than the internet, I find. A rumor can run around the world faster than the truth can get its boots on. That's from Terry Pratchett. Gossip is a way of actually, when witches do it properly, a way of assessing whether someone's going to the bad or not, going to the dark, which starts usually with cackling too much. When you start making houses out of gingerbread, there's a problem. There's so many fairy tale references there that people do symbolically all the time. So I think there is an empowered way to do gossip and a disempowered way to do gossip. But when was the last time you ever heard somebody say to you, here, I got something to tell you. She is so wonderful. What an integrous, delightful person. But you didn't hear it from me. Right? It's like, that's not gossip. So there are repercussions to gossip.
Though I will tell you that is probably what happened at your party.
Really?
At Beltane. that how it came back to you, what a wonderful person the guest who I brought was.
Oh, cool. Very
so
cool.
I'm assuming that's exactly what happened. So
don't tell anybody. She's magnificent. Shh, you didn't hear it from me. We need more of that kind of gossip.
Well, George, we want to thank you for that, and you too, Dresden.
Thank you. It was a good question.